Live from New York, it's Mondays with Mark. Here we are, New York City. Nothing like this city. It is so crowded and so loud, and people are so friendly, really, if you speak to them. You just got to talk to people, you know? Just say hello and smile, look them in the eye. If they don't want to talk to you, they'll go. But this is some city. So I'm walking down the street, and these two fellas accost me.
Yes, we did.
Jeremy and Clay of a big band group called Equinox, and they're in town, and they evidently recognized the Waterhead walking down the street.
We saw it from a mile away.
Yeah, huge fans.
Well, we're on it, and you're here in town doing what?
We're at a big private swanky event here at the New York Public Library, and then we're headed to West Monroe, Louisiana, our home, for a big deal with Swanberg and some friends. So it should be cool.
Tell them all I said hey.
We will.
And look them up. How do they find you?
EquinoxOrchestra.com. They can find all our good stuff there.
I'm fixing to go look them up.
Check it out.
They may just have cards and not even have an orchestra. Who knows? So I'm going to find out.
We made it all up.
Y'all, I am in New York City, and I'm so glad you're tuning in. The Wi-Fi here at this hotel wasn't real good, but I hope you're able to see me. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Today is all about songwriting, and in New York City, it's such a creative place. You saw all the stuff that I shot today, and it's so much fun. What a great town. Those of you who get to live here, wait, I'm on the wrong camera. Oh, wait, here we are. Oh, that's so much better. For those of you who get to live here, how lucky are you? What a great place. Hello, Cynthia Anderson, Kate Cruz. Hi, Mark. Glad to see you again. Nice to see you, Kate. Hello, Patty Goodall and Abigail Buss. I'm glad to hear that Dennis Swanberg. Yeah, Dennis Swanberg was mentioned on here. I love old Dennis. He's a good guy. In New York City, yes, I'm in New York City. I flew in yesterday, because tomorrow I'm going to meet up with Andrew Greer, and we are going to shoot a Dinner Conversations episode with Kathy Lee Gifford. And she's got a new book that she wants to promote. We're going to talk to her about her faith and all that kind of stuff. So that could be interesting. So we flew up just to hang out with her and to talk to all of y'all on Mondays. Have you looked forward to Mondays? I look forward to this every week now. It's like the thing I'm going to continue doing all next year on my year off, you know, except for some times when I'll be out on my scooters and can't get here in time. But for the most part, every Monday. So I want to start off, okay, Blaine, I still have you up there. See, I'm my own director and everything. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's get started. Donnie McGuire. I was at his house not too long ago, and I put together my equipment, and I just kind of testing it out, and I asked him, I said, tell me about the first song you ever wrote. Here's what he said. So Donnie, how long have you been writing music?
What was your first song He Will Provide?
He Will Provide's first music I wrote.
Really?
First song I wrote music to.
What year was that?
I was 13, so that would have been
Really?
16.
Is that a big song? Was that a big song?
You know what? It had a few cuts. My dad wrote the lyric.
You should ask him about that story sometime when
It's
you're
a very,
Well, I'm
very
asking
sweet,
now.
very sweet idea. My dad was a
It's
foreman.
scooting that way.
He was a foreman at a big lumber warehouse place
Yeah.
and fell off the dock, so he was on crutches. Ronnie and I were like 14 months old.
There's 7 kids.
7 kids, we're the babies. So my mom gets a note from the milkman delivery guy, because they delivered milk in bottles, that if they didn't have $5 the next morning, he couldn't leave any more milk.
Ooh.
And so my dad he was very strict about going to church. So our church was in a revival. That night at church,
Hold it down in the kitchen.
the evangelist came back to my dad and shook his hand and said, God told me to give you this. It was a $5 bill.
Really?
So then he gets up and he says, I really feel like I asked Pastor, we're going to get a 50-gallon drum, put in the foyer, and I want people to bring dry goods. And at the end of the revival, we're going to give these dry goods to a needy family. Well, they filled up that barrel, got another barrel. At the end of the revival, the McGuire family was the needy family.
Really?
So my mom and dad, guys from the church, brought those barrels over and helped them get the food in the house. And then they were setting up, just putting this food away. And my dad couldn't sleep that night, so he wrote the song, He Will Provide.
How's it go?
He has promised to go with me. Not one step I'll take alone. My every need provided. He'll meet them one by one. And then I always tagged it. Yes, I know he will provide. So
And that was the first song.
Mhm.
That was Donnie McGuire's first song. My first song that I recall was either Too Big to Miss. I don't think it was Too Big to Miss. Oh, no, it wasn't either. It was Eternity with Me, a song called Eternity with Me, or it was I Wonder If He Paid Too Much. Now, Eternity with Me goes, He wants to spend eternity with me. He wants to spend eternity with me. Of all the things that puzzle me and I can't understand, the God of all eternity wants to spend the rest of it with me. That was number one. And the other one was called, it's called I Wonder If He Paid Too Much. And it says, He came to give me life and to teach me how to live. He still gave when it seemed there was nothing left to give. They pierced His side, and as He died, He cried, Father, forgive. But when He sees the way I live, I wonder, does He ever wonder if He paid too much? Anyway, it goes on like that. And it ends up, where He isn't wondering, He sees in me what He knows I will be, and what He started He will finish in eternity, so don't wonder. It's a pretty good little song. Listen, over at marklowry.com, Danny Phillips, who runs the office now, she designed this little thing. We have a special over at marklowry.com, and that's not it. Hold on one second, Dan Childers. Here it is. The special's right here. You can get either the Dogs Go to Heaven t-shirt or God is Crazy About You t-shirt for $10 for a limited time only. $10 bill will get you a Dogs Go to Heaven t-shirt or a God is Crazy About You. Or you can send 20 and get both of them. So that's a special for this week over at marklowry.com/store. Now I want to play a little song, give us a little music from Dinner Conversations. Here is Buddy Greene and Ron Block from Alison Krauss's group singing Sally Gooden. We'll be right back.
1, 2, 3. had a piece of pie, had a piece of pudding, and I gave it all away just to see Miss Sally Gooden. And I looked down the road and I seen Sally coming, and I thought to myself, I'd kill myself for running. Love a potato pie, love an apple pudding, and I love a little gal that they call Sally Gooden. Drop potato pie, lay up the apple pudding, and I went across the mountain for to see Miss Sally Gooden now. Sally is my doozy, Sally is my daisy, and if she gets mad, well, I think I'm going crazy. A little dog will bark, a big dog will bite you, and a little gal will coach you, and a big gal will fight you. Raining and a pouring, and the creek's running muddy, and I'm so drunk and I can't stand steady. I'm a going up to mountain, gonna marry a little Sally raised corn on the hillside, cane in the valley.
Well, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good.
What were you doing before I called?
I was finishing up a call from a group looking for songs.
Really? Have you got some for them?
I think so.
What? So have you written some today already?
No, it's only 10 o'clock here. I'm just getting going.
For anybody who doesn't know who Joel Lindsey is, let me read to you some songs that he's written that I looked up on. Thank God for Google, because I get them all right here. Calvary Answers for Me, Orphans of God, Wherever You Are, One Thing I Know, Dream Big by the Martins, If My People, Life is Hard But God is Good. I love that song. Crown of Thorns, New Day Dawning, You Set Me Free, For the Sake of My Heart, I Wish I Could Have Been There. Is that one?
That's that one.
Golly. He didn't just carry a cross, he made a change. Those two are right together. That's good. He didn't just carry a cross, he made a change. Let the Rocks Keep Silent. Heaven's Child. Oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite all-time songs, Heaven's Child. When the Martins sing it, I go crazy.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, if you've never heard Heaven's Child, Google Heaven's Child by the Martins. Anyway, the list goes on, and that's just on one website. By the Martins, the Gaither Vocal Band, Clay Cross, Avalon, Lord's Song, the Cathedrals, Wayne Hawn, Joel Lindsey. Have you made an album too?
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about doing a Christmas record.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Are you going to sing on it?
Yeah.
I didn't know you sang.
Well, I mean, that's up for debate, but
So are they all new Christmas songs?
yeah.
Really? Do you find it hard to write a Christmas song more than
No,
any
because
other?
I love Christmas. I love Christmas. And in fact, I wrote 2 Christmas musicals this year, 2 for 2 different purposes. And I don't find it hard at all.
Really?
I mean, yeah, you have to rack your brain a little bit, but
Okay, you had 2 different Christmas musicals you wrote. How are they different?
well, one is for the church, one is for a 42-minute service that a church choir will perform. The other is for a small theater that's going to have tourists and come in, and it's going to be a 90-minute show. So it's a lot longer. One is a contemporary format, a story that happens modern day. The other is a fictional biblical times story.
How many Christmas musicals have you written, do you think?
Maybe 10 or 11, perhaps. I've been doing this for 30 years. This is my 30th year.
But it's
So-
still not a machine. It takes creativity,
Well, and it's not being a machine. It's just really doing some digging, and people don't understand that songwriting. Okay, I started to say songwriting is work to you. It's not, but you still have to
It's
use your
mental
brain,
work.
So
It is. I call it. It's mental work. I mean,
sure.
I say people like you and Gloria. I mean, you can cough and there's a song. I have to get up in the stirrups and push them out. To me, it is a complete mental breakdown, and I don't enjoy it. But
But sometimes it is. Sometimes it has to be that. I mean, not every song just falls out on the page.
well, I wish they did.
Well, I do too, but I also think I think songwriters get lazy.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of studies on what are the classics? What are songs I grew up on that are still relevant today? What are those songs about? And there are some patterns. For one thing, you don't see any songs that stood the test of time written by a whole bunch of people. You see them written by one person, maybe two people.
Right.
You see you just see things like that. And so even in my writing, I'm trying to do more writing on my own, because as much as I love co-writing and I love that unfolding of the process, there's nothing like letting a song just be birthed one line at a time. And some of my more effective songs that seem to have resonated with people weren't written in an afternoon. They were written in a month or 3 months or 5 years.
Right.
Life is Hard, God is Good took over 5 years to write.
Wow.
Calvary Answers for me took at least 3 or 4 months to write. Because it just had to sort of work its way out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so.
But you're blessed to be able to write words and music. People like me who only write words have to find someone to write music.
Well, and that's true. But you still, as a songwriter, you can still let a song take its time.
Right.
You can still, because I do that too. I'll ship a song out to another melody writer if I don't feel like I'm coming up with the same melody.
Right.
I mean, with the right melody.
And you can tell too if they have married, if the lyric and the music have married, and if they don't, you cannot accept it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I want to ask you about a line, and we talked about this because I called you the minute I heard it on
You did.
on Miranda Green Bean's new CD, and it's a line that says, "From the addict on the street to the addict in the pews." And that line, boom, it's like, wow, truth was told right there.
Well, and that's exactly what we wanted. We were shooting for, Trina just kept saying, let's be real. Let's be real. And sadly enough, we don't often get that opportunity. Those of us who write for other people to sing, it's not always my voice I'm having to fill. So for an artist to say, let's be real, that was such a great opportunity. But even with that line, I sat there for a while with that line written down, a little scared to say it because I didn't know just how real Miranda wanted to be. And, we were talking about, single moms and businessmen who are overworked and a lot of those kind of things. But to say that there are addicts in the pews, I didn't know how real she would want to be with that.
But it just rang because it's just true.
Well, and I've heard a lot of people mention that line since, but I feel like that's where the church needs to be right now.
Where is the line for you? Why did you sit there so long?
Because honestly, we don't often get to say those raw kind of things. We always kind of have to cushion it a little bit. I don't always get to say there are addicts in our churches, because a lot of people don't want to face that fact. I'm thankful for Joseph Habedank, who's been very upfront with his talk with recovery, and now I know Russ Taff has this movie coming out dealing with that, and I think it's time to stop pretending that the church is for perfect people.
Right.
To be able to say, there are addicts in the pew, but there's mercy for you, you know. I think that's great, but I didn't know, and I know Taranda pretty well, but even at that, you know, I just didn't know if that's
Well, it was. So what are you always looking for hooks? I mean,
always,
always.
whether I want to or not.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I took a vacation a few years back and I was kind of burnt out. I was tired. So I thought, I'm not taking my computer. I'm not taking a notebook. I'm not taking anything because I'm not going to write while I'm there. Well, I was reaching for napkins and restaurants and, you know, coasters in my hotel room and everything else, trying to find something to write on because they just kind of find you, you know.
They do. You're looking, though. You've trained yourself to look.
Yes, which is important, you know, and that's one thing I talk to songwriters about. If you're a songwriter 24/7. You're not a songwriter for 2 hours on a Saturday when you've got the time to write.
Right.
You know, you're always feeding the well, and people will say, "Oh, I try to have at least a song idea or two before I walk into a writing session." And I'm like going, a song idea or two? I've got 100 or two.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what we're supposed to do, you know. And sometimes those will end up being songs. Sometimes they'll end up being a line in a song. Sometimes it'll be whatever. But I'm always looking.
Right.
I'm always trying to find that idea, that different thing, that unique idea.
Which one of your songs would you say has had the biggest impact as far as response you've received from people?
Well, of course, Life is Hard, God is Good is 20 something years old now.
Yeah.
So it had its day back in the 90s, and it got a lot of response. But I would probably have to say Orphans of God.
Yeah.
You know, that song's 10 or 12 years old now, and that song still seems to reach people. And I talked to a country artist last week who's thinking about recording it. And you know, there's a contemporary Christian group in Brazil who just heard it and they're wanting to record it. And, you know, it seems to still be finding its place.
Isn't it cool when your babies, it's like your children go off and have lives of their own?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think it's good that we don't always get to see that. I think it's good that, because I'd have an ego the size of Montana, you know, if I knew where songs.
But isn't it cool that you can be sitting in your home in California and you're speaking all over the world?
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
an awesome responsibility and gift.
Responsibility, yes. And, well, both responsibility and gift, but I don't take that responsibility lightly, you know. I think about that a lot on Sunday mornings, you know, because I write so much music for choirs. And sometimes I'll be, you know, of course, where I live, I'm 3 hours behind the East Coast and 2 hours behind, you know.
Right.
So I'll be up just getting ready to start my Sunday morning, and I'll be thinking, you know, I wonder if any churches are singing my songs this morning, you know, and it's cool when you find out they are. Isn't
that cool? So tell me about your songwriting school. Is that by invitation only? Or do I remember that? Or
well, it's not. I don't have a songwriting school.
Okay.
I teach at Write About Jesus, which is coming up next week. That's Sue Smith's weekend.
Who?
But I do Sue Smith.
Okay.
I do. So I go and teach at that. But I host co-writing retreats twice a year.
Okay, that's what I remember.
And yeah, and I invite 40 writers from all parts of the country, from all genres within Christian music, and from all levels of success. And we come together and we just throw names in a hat, and you get who you get. And this is my 12th year, and it's just been amazing to see not just the songs that were written at the retreats, but the relationships that were developed.
Right.
You know, the extended reach of the co-writing retreat has been amazing. It's going to be a much bigger legacy than my songwriting will. It's going to, you know, the reaches have already been amazing.
What would you tell some young kid like I was 40 years ago, wanting to get started, wanting to write? of course, I know that I've learned you got to be able to rhyme. You've got
Sure.
to be able to meter
Sure.
a song. You've got to, there's some structural things you just got to learn.
Absolutely.
And then beyond that, and you can't break these rules at first, I was
Right.
told. And as you mature and become a great writer, you can bend and break some rules. But what would you tell someone? I mean, I just want the synopsis here.
Well, for me, I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know about songwriting schools or anything like that. And to this day, I've never read a book on songwriting. But I did what I think is the best thing you could do, and that's to find great songs that move you and study them.
Yeah,
Look at the lyrics. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I've gotten an LP when I was a kid,
me too.
usually of the Rambos,
Me too.
I would pull those liner notes out and I would listen along and I would read along.
Yes,
I would see how they rhymed things and I would see how that meter lined up. And I learned those things without anybody telling me because I studied what moved me,
right.
and I would study and I would just comb over those lyrics. And I remember hearing the Dottie Rambo song, How Graciously Grace Has Covered My Sin.
Yeah,
I remember seeing the title for the first time and using grace as an adjective to describe the noun just blew my mind. And I thought that was the coolest thing.
yeah,
And I remember thinking, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. That's really the song that sort of made me go, okay, this is not just a hobby of mine. This is a passion of mine. This is something I want to pursue, you know. And I didn't necessarily know that you could make a living doing it. That wasn't my intent. It was just, I just loved how it affected me. And I wanted to learn how to do that.
right.
So I started studying those songs even more. I'd get, Phil Johnson's LP that came out.
Yes, wasn't that album amazing?
Oh, it's
The
so
Day He
amazing.
Wore My Crown. Wait, let me think what else I loved on that album.
Now that I'm not lost forever, I'm simply lost for words.
I
Yeah,
was that I just got chills all over my body.
I know. I
Song.
know.
That's and also I've never been out of his care
Yes, absolutely.
on there. But now that I'm not lost forever, it's I've always been easy with rhyme or with
With
it's always
reason.
been easy. Let's see if we can quote it with rhyme or with reason to say what I want to say in each
Each
situation
situation,
with different
if
phrases or coining a
pointing
witty
some
cliche.
cliche. Yes, yes.
My words were prolific and very specific. Now, where is my skill to refer? Now that I'm not lost forever, I'm simply lost for words. Ta, 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 ta. Thank you, Dottie Rambo. Thank you, Jesus. I'm telling
But
you
yeah,
to rhyme, refer, and words.
yes, yes.
I know it's not a perfect rhyme, but it's a brilliant rhyme.
It's a brilliant rhyme. But see, you remember that how, and that's what I'm sort of challenging myself with now is who's going to remember anything I'm writing 40 years from now, 30 years from now, And so I'm trying to study those songs that moved me so deeply back then. What can I learn? Because I'm not a spring chicken, and so I want to write songs that are going to be around for
Oh, yeah.
30, 40 years.
One thing about songwriters, we deduce the unfathomable into words.
Yeah,
That's our job,
yeah,
or y'all's job. I don't consider it my job. But y'all, and it is my job in storytelling to try to take a great idea and bring it down to a story that gets the cookies on the bottom shelf so everybody who doesn't have the luxury to sit around and ponder like you and I do
right, right,
can grab it and go and be
right.
strengthened and encouraged and make it another day. That
Absolutely.
is the song of the gospel songwriter, I believe. And so how do you do you ever feel the need to top yourself?
Uh, I don't think about it. I think it would drive me crazy if I did.
Yeah.
I think it would drive me crazy. I just really try to make every idea the best it can be. You Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, has a great podcast on that very subject.
Okay.
Because she knew that she would never write another Eat, Pray, Love.
Right.
And so she talks about, she's a fairly young woman. She's had her greatest work. What does she do from there? And it's a brilliant podcast. It's not written from a Christian perspective, just disclaimer.
Right.
But it does talk about showing up, and if you're meant to do this, the ideas will come. You got to show up.
Yeah.
And so I can't just dwell on, well, I had a number one song last year. Am I going to have one this year? I can't go there.
Right. Right.
That's gonna
really, I don't even, number ones, do they really? I mean, I know they must matter because everybody wants one so bad, but
they look good on a bio.
Huh?
They look good on a bio.
Okay.
But no, they don't. And they don't affect the life or the effectiveness of a song.
No.
Orphans of God was never number one.
Neither was Mary Did You Know?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It was number 4 and they pulled it so In Christ Alone could go to number 1.
Wow.
Which is great. I mean, I really, yeah. But they did. I remember that, so it must have bothered me a little.
Yeah. Well, the same thing. Calvary Answers for Me didn't go number 1, and they pulled it. So I wish I could have been there. Went number 1. So
well, at least you had another one in the wings waiting. Yeah. I'm working on Joseph.
Number ones don't matter.
I'm working on Joseph. Did you know Moses? Did you know in Jesus? We know you knew.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, really. I'd like to hear them too. So is there anything like you're working on right now that you're so excited about that you can tell us a little bit about?
Well, I mean, I've always got something in the works. I tell you an album that just released that I loved working on. This guy named Riley Harrison Clark. He's the
I know Riley.
Tribute Quartet. He came in and had some real specific things he wanted to say. And the first couple of sessions with him were tough because he didn't really have the words to say them. But me and Jeff Bumgardner and Wayne Hahn wrote a couple of songs for him and then a couple of songs with him.
Uh-huh.
And I'm real excited about them.
Okay. Everybody go get Riley
Harrison Clark.
Harrison Clark. He's a good kid. He's, like you say, the tenor for the
Tribute Quartet.
Tribute Quartet. Wonderful quartet.
Voice like an angel. But we wrote the title. So me and Wayne and Jeff Bumgardner wrote the title song, Welcome to Me. And the lyric says, welcome to the shattered. Welcome to the scarred. I am living proof that I am living proof that grace can reach this far. I mean, I just love that. Welcome to
who wrote all that? How did that happen? Y'all were in a room and someone just said one line and someone said the next, or what?
Well, that was
it's hard to tell, I guess,
it's hard to tell. I know that Jeff and I wrote the lyric and Wayne wrote the melody. So
But lyric right there. Say that again.
Welcome to the shattered.
Love it.
Welcome to the scarred.
Love it.
I am living proof that grace can reach this far.
Wow.
I mean,
I get be a meme. That is brilliant.
Well, maybe I'll get right.
What else does it keep going? What else does it say? Do you remember?
Welcome to the healing and all that love says I can be. Welcome to me.
Welcome to the healing. Oh, isn't that the truth? I've been saying this a lot lately in my concerts that, the pot doesn't get to tell the potter what the pot's worth.
Yeah.
The potter tells the pot what the pot's worth, and the pot doesn't get a vote. God thought you were worth dying for.
Yeah.
How rude not to agree with him.
I love that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's that simple for me.
So why do we have such a problem accepting that?
Well, I think parents, people who have children, should get this a lot easier than you and I who don't.
Yeah.
Because you have seen your image. You have held your image in your arms. You have looked into the eyes of something you co-created with God.
Sure.
Right? And something you would lay down your life for the minute you meet this person. You will lay down your life. That is a broken image of how much God loves all of us.
Wow. Yeah.
We are all his favorites.
Yeah.
If he's got a wallet, our pictures are in it. And that's who I believe this God to be. And that's who you're writing about.
Yeah.
And I can hear it in your lyrics. I hear from home in your lyrics.
Wow.
I call it my ET light goes off. You know, I know when I'm hearing from home, and I know when I'm hearing caca.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I just covered my mic. But anyway, so keep writing, keep loving.
Oh, I will.
Man.
And thank you for being so encouraging to writers. I know you don't consider yourself a writer, but you are. But you're the biggest champion of songwriters too. So,
well, when I hear a great song, I can't help it.
oh, I know. Me too.
I mean, I don't care who wrote it.
Right.
I have to have written it. I will
Yeah.
cut one of my songs so fast if it doesn't have something to say over a song that does. Give me meat on the bones. When you can't hit the high notes, when you're a baritone, you better find good songs.
Yeah.
Those tenors, everybody loves to hear a tenor hit a high note. Doesn't matter what they're singing. They just hit a high note and everybody goes, ah! But a baritone where we're down here all the time and our ears get, your ear doesn't, you know, you want to go, ah. Well, you better have good lyrics. And you're writing great lyrics, Joel and Lindsey.
Thank you, Mark.
And melodies too, I'm sure, but that's not my expertise. I know a great lyric when I hear it. Like, for instance, Buddy Greene called me a few years ago and said, I just heard, well, he said this, and it's kind of egotistical when I repeat it, but he said, I've just heard the best Christmas song since Mary, Did You Know? That's what he said to me. Buddy Greene, who wrote it, you know, with me.
Yeah.
So I said, where? And I get on iTunes, and I look up a song by Andrew Peterson called Labor of Love.
I've heard it.
Yeah. I melted.
Yeah.
I mean, the opening line, it was not a silent night.
Mm.
That opening line, it was not a silent night. There was blood on the ground. You could hear a woman cry in the alleyway that night on the streets of Davidstown. And the stable was not clean, and the cobblestones were cold. Little Mary, full of grace, with the tears upon her face, had no mother's hand to hold. It was a labor of pain. It was a cold sky above. But for the girl on the ground in the dark, with every beat of her beautiful heart, it was a labor of love.
Wow.
Noble Joseph by her side, calloused hands and weary eyes. There was no midwife to be found on the streets of Davidstown in the middle of the night. So he held her and he prayed, shafts of moonlight on his face. But the baby in the womb, he was the maker of the moon. He was the author of the faith that could make the mountains move. It was a labor of pain. And then it goes on to the chorus. That bridge right there.
Wow.
I mean, I am sitting here in goosebumps. That lyric. Don't you love a great lyric?
I love a great lyric. I love a great lyric.
Quote me your favorite lyric you've written. And I know that's hard. Just pick one out of the air and quote it. One that really moves you. Just,
probably, I mean, I talk about this one a lot.
Or
but
play it and sing it. You're sitting there at the piano.
Oh, I mean, I'm going back to this, but it's that. Come ye unwanted and find affection. Come all ye weary, come and lay down your head. This is my favorite line. Come ye unworthy, you are my brother. If such a thing as grace exists, then grace was made for lives like this. 'Cause there are no strangers, there are no outcasts.